Alright everybody, what's cracking? So I've seen a few videos, a few channels talking about the CDC's integration policy, and I've seen some talk about who would win and stuff like that. So I'd like to give my 2 cents. First off, every single dude in prison has either a mother or a grandmother, tia, children, maybe a father that's still alive, that loves them, and that's worried about them every night. So when they do this integration, people are gonna go ahead and battle. People are gonna die on both sides. And those family members and generations of family members are going to be affected. They're going to be devastated. So when we look at the bigger picture of what violence is, you can't say somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. Everybody loses. Now, obviously, because they're not going to clear entire yards out and then put an equal number of SNY inactive. They're not going to do that. They're going to clear out certain cells and, on a SNY yard and put actives and clear out a few cells or tiers on an active yard and put SNYs. Those guys that get thrown into the lion's den on either side are gonna suffer. Just numerically, it's you're gonna fight your ass off, whoever you are, and you're gonna do your best. But the sad thing is this. The CDC is orchestrating murders, and the CDC, you guys got to remember, the last few years, thousands, not 20, 30, not 100, 700, 800, not 1,500, but thousands of lifers have gone home. And lifers were the CDC's meal ticket. These are the guys that they just knew we're never gonna go home and we're gonna always keep their job secure. With them seeing all the changes, they had to counter it. And this is a devastating weapon that they've created. This is their version of a weapon of mass destruction. They don't care who dies. They just care that their job's secure. The CDC has orchestrated racial warfare in the CDC forever. The gang stuff, which you guys know I never talk about that shit, but the CDC plays their part to perfection. And they know that people have, let's just call them codes of conduct, that if this happens, this happens. If that happens, this happens. And so they understand if we put people in certain positions, they will act accordingly. They will respond this way. And so they devise these plans knowing what the reaction has to be. And it's very few people in prison, when you're in those situations, that will stop and think about the loved ones that are going to be affected, because they don't have the time to think about that. That's something beyond the walls. It's something they can't control. And so those, when I hear about the integration, that's what I think about. I think about all these men that have an opportunity to go home, and the CDC making sure they do the things necessary to crush that. And what happens is, depending on what happens in there, they can also turn it into, you see, I told you so. We started letting them out. And look at all the violence. It's gotten worse. Let's be even more drastic with them. These programs we're giving them aren't working, so let's take them back. And what do you think is going to happen if the CDC was to start cutting vocations? Do you think the CDC is going to give that money back to the taxpayers or to the governor? No. It's going to go to the cops. California's Department of Corrections is the most expensive department in the world. You look at Texas, which is comparable almost in size. The prison population is comparable. And you look at how much it costs to house an inmate there compared to here. You look at any state, how much it costs to house an inmate, a convict there compared to here. The CDC recognizes it has a slave labor force that's humongous. It's also a perfect way to embezzle money. I know 2 times when I went back to the SHU, when I went to the Bay, I didn't know restitution, but I got booked for restitution when I got there. Everybody on our bus did, and every bus that came, we all got booked for restitution. A lot of us didn't owe restitution. And so the first time around, they got us, and what happened, we all 602'd it, and they said, okay, it'll be about 5 weeks and you'll get your money back. So obviously, you know how it is in there, you do your research. And what we figured out was, whenever there was an audit, and whoever audits the CDC, whoever audits Pelican Bay, when they come to check the books, they would start booking everybody for restitution that didn't owe it. And it was always the same thing, you'll get your money back in 5 weeks. We'd get our money back after the audit was done. Now, why would they do that? Because money that was supposed to be somewhere wasn't there. And so if they book all these inmates coming in, take their money and put it where it's supposed to be, and when the audit's done, they give it back to us, the missing money stays missing. And only those involved know where it went. And I know the Bay's not the only one that does that. So I don't know, man. I just, you know, the whole thought of this integration thing, and me always trying to see down the line? What's the big picture? What's the angle? You know, we always got to look at what are the angles. Everybody's playing an angle. And when they know, they have such a huge advantage, the CDC, because they know what the reactions are going to be of those that they're housing. So it's easy for them to create these situations and scenarios. I know that the peace treaty had to really fuck them up, and that's why they said, okay, well, that didn't work, we let them out, that peace treaty is holding up, so let's create another thing, something that they can't come to a consensus on, something they won't agree on. Throw them with the SOIs. So this is just me talking. This is just me looking at the bigger picture. And honestly, it's me saddened by the destruction that they're once again gonna cause to people inside there, inside the prison cells and inside the prison yards and cell blocks, and to the families out here. The hurt and the anger that it's going to cause people out here. And the fact that because the CDC, the CCPOA, which is the guards union, is the most powerful union in this state, and with the politicians not able to break that union, they have to cater to that union, so they get away with a lot. So that's just my take on this whole integration thing, that I feel fucking, it's a damn shame, and there's gonna be a lot of hurt, and will this be another 30-year war, 40-year war? Will it cause thousands of deaths? You know, you figure when one person dies, they have their immediate family that's affected, but then they have nieces and they have nephews, and if they have a son or a daughter, a grandson or a granddaughter that never gets to meet. And so it's the ripple effect of destruction in that one family. So if you figure, because of this integration, if thousands of dudes die, let's just say it's 1,000. We could say that's easily 1 million people affected by this game they decide to play, the CDC, the game they play. For a few people to keep a job, have a nice retirement, they're gonna play chess. It's a damn shame, man. So that's what I think of, man, when I think of this integration. And I don't know, that's it, man. That's all I can say.